there's only certain things that we have to do to put on a state qualifier or national that's up to. We got to shoot at 10 meters. We got to shoot at 15 meters. We have a NASP target. We have the target face. We score. That's it. So everything that we can do to make all of that happen easier, maybe it's my age, but what is it when you can't really work harder, you have to work smarter, I had a good time blasting my sister yesterday when we celebrated her 70th birthday, because that means she's 3 years older than me for 2 months. So, I first want to start, Tommy Floyd, what a great guy, and he's setting up all of this stuff, and he goes, "Can you send a picture of yourself?" And I kind of laughed at him, and I go, if you send a picture of yourself, it means you don't have a lot of friends. And so we are very proud of what we've done for the city of Springfield in archery, but there was no way that anything was accomplished by any one entity. We had 3 very solid partnerships that came together, and that's the 3 in the picture. Greg Collier's with the Missouri Department of Conservation. I can't say enough about the Missouri Department of Conservation. Archery starts there. Archery ends there in the state of Missouri. Our state archery tournament, and I've been to a lot of different state tournaments in various sports, there is nothing more exciting than the NASP state archery tournament. I'm going to tell you what, when you say, wait for it, and they hit that shoot, and all those arrows hit that target, and you tell kids, that's a sound. Don't you remember that sound? But that's a really cool sound. Any basketball players, sound of the ball going through the net, that's a good sound too. But boy, nothing beats it. Greg Collier, you go in through NASP, BAI. You've got to get your archery certification. You need to keep it updated. That's how you start with the Missouri Department of Conservation. Greg Collier was there every tournament that we started to put on. And we started little, and we got to the point where we had 900 kids signed up for the archery season, and he was there. So we had the Missouri Department of Conservation. And then we had Teresa Miller with the Springfield Public Schools. She was the citywide PE coordinator before she retired. She hadn't really retired. You haven't either. You'd think for a smart lady she'd learn how to say no. It's only 2 letters. It's one sound. I mean, you come out with it. But she was the one that got the archery in the schools. We have 5 high schools, we have 9 middle schools, and then we have 2 special programs. You walk by and you see those classrooms down there, that's called Wolf, and that's a beauty of a program between Bass Pro and the Springfield schools. And you imagine, this is a classroom. I mean, I used to get those cancer posters and decorate the room and thought, woohoo! I didn't have animals. But once we got it in the schools, then you started with teams. Teresa, you just, ladies, I want to make sure you get some paperwork. I kind of forgot who my audience was. I don't need to go over the importance and the value. Teaching archery is not about shooting an arrow. It's about all the other values. And you can convey an awful lot of values and the fundamentals in the classroom. But that team is special. just think where our world would be if we had better teamwork. What if Congress actually worked together? Oh my gosh. Well, they're on two different teams. They're not on one team. And we're not getting so I love teams. The concept of archery, and I've coached lots and lots of different sports, and to me this is the biggest difference in archery teams and archery tournaments. Basketball, and I was, a maniac for, 30 some odd years. There's a scoreboard in every gym. And what that scoreboard says is, you won, you lost. That's what it says. At the end of the game, that's what it says. And let me tell you, half the crowd goes home, they're excited, and the other half of the crowd goes home, and they're not happy. Look at those archery tournaments. We have the audience applaud at the end of every flight to congratulate the kids for their fine efforts and great performances. And everyone's happy. It's a challenge where it's not competitive. And there are certain ages where kids, they don't handle competition well. They need to learn to work hard. And they need to learn it's perfectly all right to try to be the best. I used to teach a college class here in town, and I'd say, all right, look at the room, raise your hand. Who's going to be the first employed? Who's going to be the first one to go out and get a job? You'd do about 4 or 5 hands coming up, and I go, wait. I only hire the best. I need one teacher, I'm going to hire the best. I'm not going to hire the 4th best. You might be on the podium, that's good. It's not good enough. And I have been around a long enough time to have gone through lots of school programs. Participation. Participation is an opportunity. But it's not the gold medal. Doing your best and teaching kids to set goals and to work hard, that comes out of teams and tournaments. All right, I'm going to click through here in just a bit. It's a wonderful curriculum in the fact that it's the same equipment. When Teresa started several programs in the school, I'm going to use tennis just as an example. We had what we called a classroom set of equipment. And we would go to Disney Elementary for 2 weeks. And we took that equipment and then we took it over to Jarrett Middle School. And then after we took it to Jarrett Middle School, we took it over to Parkview High School. Same equipment, 2-week classes, and we could spread it out. So get your equipment down in your middle school. I mean, if you got a truck or a trailer, put it in your elementary school, put it in your middle school, put it in your high school. Now, once you have teams, you have to have more equipment, but starting young builds your program. We have a great elementary teacher. And when we have our tournaments, his kids are always the best. And when they graduate from that 5th and 6th grade school, they go to one of the top middle schools. And then they go to one of the top high schools. You know, you catch that wave, and archery's a big wave, folks. It's out there. You catch that wave and you stay on that wave. But once you build it up and you let your program go down, it's harder the second time to build it back up. And so these young kids that have success and they're on that team and they move up to the middle school, they feel like they have an obligation. I mean, they have a reputation to uphold. I can't say enough about different partnerships in the community. A definition of a partnership is a win-win situation. It's not a partnership if one wins and the other gives. It's got to be a win-win. I can't say enough about Bass Pro Cabela. Johnny Morris, he went to Glendale High School. He went to Glendale High School with a pair of Levi jeans, Chuck Taylor tennis shoes, and his daddy had some liquor stores down by, going on the way to some rivers and lakes around here. He sold a few worms. During the summer, Johnny Morris's mom said, I really don't want you hanging out in the liquor stores with your dad. Thank you kindly anyway. Tell you what, my brother, he's down at the lake. You go down and spend the summer with your uncle. I want you spending your time fishing. That's where he started. And he has been a tremendous asset, not only to the city of Springfield, but as you heard. I don't think I need to sell you the need for tournaments, but I remember when my kids were young, I'd come home from school and I'd go, what'd you do at school today? Nothing? Really? 8 hours of nothing? Did you have a test today? How'd you do in the spelling test? I mean, you got to use that can opener and pry information out. Tournaments, public, everyone's there, the PTA. We had a great tournament at Parkview High School. And that smart little lady right over there went to the president of the school board and said, sweetheart, what are you doing Saturday? If you're not doing anything, do you mind coming out? And we had her up on the corner of the stage looking out at all of these kids. And she just went, wow. You can't sell your program to your school board by saying, I've got another athletic team that you need to have. Because the first thing that comes up is the basketball coach going, no, don't take my basketball player. I need him for the game on Friday. Don't take him away to practice. You sell it as this is participation. Tie the kid to the school. Maybe I was just a raunchy little kid. I'm sure I was. I didn't go to school to see if I got all 20 words in the spelling test correct. That wasn't my little, I went to school for study, I laughed, study hall recess and PE. I wanted to do things, and I love going to school. So it works. Get those kids, create those bases. Three amigos, my dear. These are some of the different things. I do want to point out that the local college, we have Evangel, Drury University, and Missouri State University. If you are anywhere in a college town, you get those PE and recreation majors and you say, we need some range officials at the tournaments. And you know what? They have a blast, and they come back and they go, oh my God, this is so much fun. And then the kids, oh, you're the best guy, I saw you on TV. So they enjoy that. We couldn't put on a tournament without retired teachers because they're like Teresa, they can't say no. Hosting your tournament. First thing you have to do is you have to find a facility. Then you have to figure out how to hang your nets. Be creative. I've got some pictures. I want to come back to this, but there's different gyms. This is Parkview High School. This is the largest gym that we have in the city of Springfield, and it doesn't have center support. So we put an eye bolt in one side of the gym wall and one in the other. And then we ran a cable. Ratchet, got it as tight as we could. Then we propped it up with some volleyball standards. But by the time we strung that many nets, we also, it's amazing, shoulders go. We thought we could throw it like football. Yeah, that didn't happen. But we threw something over the rafter, brought it down, and then we held the net up. This got past the basketball coach. And it got past the basketball coach because the arrows, if the kids shoot short, they're off the main floor. But I can tell you that we did a whole lot of being very careful with the tape. But that was one way that we had to hang a net. I'm going to go forward to this. This is out at the fairgrounds, cement floor. We have 48 targets set up. That's all pipe and drape. And so I have seen at tournaments, and these are little babies, they don't count, but you know, you put them up with a zip tie. Now the only problem with putting it up with zip tie is you got to like use cutters to bring them off. S-hooks. So fast, so quick. Hook it in there, reuse. Get yourself a big box, use them, store them.
Shower hooks.
Yeah, yeah.
They work wonderful too.
Yeah. But, so that's the second way. This is the third way we had to put the nets up. We had to shoot across the gym and so we didn't have that much room. I lied when I said I wasn't going to go to the other side of the wall, just once. And so we had to have a brace. Come out, put an eye hook on the bottom, and hang that cable. So we attached to the wall in several places. But you have to figure out how to hang your nets, because the next thing you have to figure out is how many targets. When you have your facility and you know how you're hanging your nets and you know how many targets you can go, then you go to NASP tournaments.org, and then you can go online and you can put that information on, and then you can put your tournament online. But you have to figure out that information first. I want to now slide backwards.
If you run tournaments, how we did it is when we went into that school, the school got the concession stand, which was about $2,000 every Saturday or Friday we were in there. So it was huge for them. We took the gate. Our school district allowed us to take the gate for our program, and within 2 years, Susan and I bought a good size trailer to haul all of our equipment. So if that gives you some idea of the importance, it's great.
I want to talk about the tape for a while, because in terms of setting it up, now we've gotten to the point, I mean, we're slick. We'll have about 6 volunteers, and we can set up the fairgrounds with 48 targets, hanging the nets, putting the numbers on the net above the target, putting the targets out, putting the target faces on, putting the tape down, putting the quivers out, the bow racks, boom, boom, boom. It's machine-like. Everyone has their own job. So don't try to do it yourself, and don't micromanage. Do your job, do your job, do your job, do your job, do your job. It'll all get done. But taping the floor takes the most time. And so if you are on a gym floor and you have existing lines, use that if you can. If you're on a cement floor, yeah, you'll find a good crack. You don't have to like be concerned. I don't think the crack in the cement or the line was taped at 100% square. It's just a mark. The distance between the net and the front of the target is an arrow. So, I forgot to turn mine off too. So I just get a bunch of bad arrows, throw them out on the ground, lay them out there. That's my real quick marker. Put the tape down, and I'll mark my tape for my targets. Got to have your target line first. So just keep moving the arrows down, whip that baby out as fast as you can walk, it'll go down. Then you need to mark and measure. I told people, when I retired from, retired after 30 years in education, and then I went to our park board, which was part of that one picture with the 3 of us. We had the Springfield-Greene County Park Board, the schools, and the Missouri Department of Conservation. So we started with a no-fail partnership. When I retired, I knew they wanted me to have this from the baseball fields. It's meter on the back side. I mean, trust me, baseball fields, softball fields aren't measured out in meters. So, yeah, they wanted me to have that. But, yeah, you have to have a tape measure because it's your correct distance. So, don't care what you use. I tell people, use this to measure. Use whatever type of string, whatever, because, ooh, nice knot, Susan. Because stretching the string is your straight line. And so, let's see if I can untie this. Never was a Boy Scout, but I loved making that car with my brother. Boxcar, pine car, something like that. So we'll hold this up at the target. We do use this tape that's got the little box in it. Then we pull a string out straight. So when we put down the 10 meter and the 15 meter line, we keep it all straight. It takes the most time, and use plenty of time, get that first one set. Get that first pull. And a lot of times when I pull it, I'll put the tape down on the floor and I'll stretch it out. Good, good. I just need to leave it for a second. So I've got this all lined up. And I go back to my 15 meter line. I get it all lined up. Because we got 48 targets, take my tape measure. I'll make sure that I measure out exactly 10 meters. Got my little mark on the floor. Here's my mark. Got it. Stretch it for the next one. And we just work our way down the floor. Strings pulled straight. Tape measures are you're accurate. You're 10 meters away. You're 15 meters away. There's all sorts of different tape. I tell people there's 3 types of tape. There's that tape that's absolutely perfect. So when you put it down, you pull it up. And when you pull it up, it doesn't take the gym floor finish, and it doesn't leave a residue. I don't really believe in perfect. I mean, there's good, but we can't always. I will tell you that it's easier to pull tape up if, they call this gym floor tape. I don't like it. It stretches. And to me, it'll pull varnish up. When the floor is old, it pops up easier. When the floor is new, it pulls up easier. I guess there's that perfect age. But when you go to pull up tape, don't peel it straight back. Turn it at an angle and pull it up, and it'll come up a little better. So I don't really like this. And we do use painter's tape. We use painter's tape for like different weighting lines, and you're down on your hands and knees scrubbing that up. It doesn't come up in one piece. Wish it did. It tears. Life is blah, blah, blah. Just in the world of tape, yeah, we use this too to try to corral an audience away. So I was visiting with some people earlier. I wanted a tape that I could put down and it wouldn't stretch like a lot of tape. And I wanted a tape that I could mark on and was thin. And I found this dear sweet guy from church, and he lives less than a mile from us. And we kind of came up with this. I want to turn it over to him. I'm not a businessman. I really think this is good tape. I think it's got a lot of advantages. I can't get it out to as many people that can save a whole lot of time in a tournament. He can do it. He can make it. I don't want to cut in the business. Just he can take care of you. So I have his card. His name's Greg Casey. I used to think great men were named Greg because Greg Collier started this with the Missouri Department of Conservation. And Greg got the tape. You can't stretch it. It's thin. If there's a problem, and we're not perfect, it doesn't pull the varnish up. It leaves some of the glue if it doesn't come up perfect. If it's on cement, you know they're going to use floor scrubbers. They can bring that. Pretty gym floors like that one at Parkview, and I swear the first one, Teresa can the athletic director literally stood with me 24/7 when we were cleaning up after the tournament. He might not have been there for the entire tournament, but he was there for afterwards. And I pulled the tape up, and he was so thankful I didn't pull any of the varnish up. And wherever there was glue, I got my little Swiffer, and I got a cleaner that will clean it. Smells pretty. It's got a little orange scent to it. It cleans it up. And he was happy. And that opened up the door. We got to the point where we outgrew Parkview. We had 900 kids sign up that they were interested in archery. And I'm sitting there doing my math. Okay, so again, not much of a math student. Okay, 90 kids times 10 hours. We're out of Parkview. I couldn't shoot that many. That's how we got into the fairgrounds. I want to talk about some of the precautions that we used during COVID year. And I want to kind of refer to it as the COVID year as the first wave and the Delta as the second wave. I just really think the Springfield Public Schools are going to start with a mask. I want in class. I don't like the relationship between the archers and the coach, the students and the teachers. You don't get that online. And I want to, we have to abide by our city health code that says, social distance and mask. We have a great group of logical teachers, and I want to go over some of those. If it helps, great. If it doesn't, we're just going to move on. All right. Quivers. Greg Collier said, go to your Boy Scout troop, go to a church group, go to a volunteer group, make a quiver. Painted them blue, painted them red, sunk the screw in at an angle. They've lasted forever. It helps the kids know exactly where they are, and the bigger one helps. We had to go to one kid per target instead of shooting two. And so look what a bright and brilliant retired teacher said. All the clipboards are marked. So between target 27 and 28, we put the clipboard down at the target waiting line. When we announce the next flight, we tell the kids, go put your scorecard on the clipboard with your target number, so they know where to put it. Running a flight, it's very important to keep it to that hour, I think, just because you can get more kids in. So, not confusing. Oh yeah, they put the little rubber band on it so I'd hold the pencil too. So that helped. Here's another thing to help the kids on confusion. We put tape on our bow racks. So you're shooting at target 27, you hang your bow on the bow rack that says 27. We're shooting that many kids at a time. We got a lot of red bows. We got a lot of blue bows. We got a lot of camo bows. These are kids that are walking in going like, can you check this out? They grab the wrong bow. Just helps. Just helps. Yes? We get a little piece of painter's tape, put it right by the bow rack, and it'll be like 27, 28. We had to do social distancing. And again, I steal good ideas, just right and left, by the way. I'll be honest, I steal. We put down a piece of blue tape for the waiting line, and we call that the even numbered targets waiting line. And we told those kids you had to stand on that line. And then we put a second line of tape 6 feet back, and that was the odd numbered targets waiting line. So now I've got the kids socially distanced, and then we told them, now socially distanced left and right. When we called them, sound, get bows, even numbered archers, ching, ching, get bows, and they went up to the bow rack. And you know what? They got their bow just as fast by calling them in 2 groups as it did in 1, because it thinned the kids out on that bow rack. Coaching, you're the coach, you're standing in between the 2 lines. You can walk up to your kid, you can talk to the kids. We did not spread the kids out so the coach couldn't do their best. So it worked for coaching. We had, you guys did all the cleaning stuff. So we had, with 1 kid per target, we didn't change the target faces every time. So when it was time to change, we had the kids take the target face off. But then we had the range officials put the next one up. You know, 1, you have to keep your kids safe. 2, you had to keep your staff safe. So they were the only ones that touched them fresh. They would put them up. The kids would take them down, put them in a pile. We kept hand sanitizer on one of those little stands by the bow rack, so the kids could use hand sanitizer anytime they felt the need. We had kids.
Or a spray bottle on the bottom.
Yeah, I had my little mask here somewhere. Anyway, we had kids masked. And by the time we started with the national rules, and we went through the COVID, and we start to get into vaccines, and then we get into March in the state tournament, they said that you didn't have to shoot with your mask. If we have to go back and be masked, kids, put your mask on. But when they go sound, shoot, just take your mask off. I understand it's easier to have an anchor without a mask, but if you have to we can't put on a tournament unless we abide by the rules. We worked hard trying to separate the crowd in the bleachers, so we separated them. Number 1, don't police your crowd. It's just not going to work. Police the kids. You are responsible for the kids. So, you know, we spent a lot of time trying to tape off bleachers. Save yourself some tape and time. Don't bother. People will sit where they want to sit. Adults will. We had to kind of limit our concessions so that the kids always take their mask off when they eat and drink. And we instead of, and this is what we did. We manipulated our own flights. Started in the morning, and we got 2 schools here, Jarrett and Pershing. When we run our scorecards, we bubble in the numbers. When the coach arrives, coach, you're Pershing. Take your archers, because they were practicing in pods. You know, when you, Pershing, their coach is crazy. He has 150 kids. I go, how do you practice 150 kids? He goes, well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before school. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday after school. It's not a problem.
He has 7 coaches, by the way.
But 150 kids, let me tell you, they're trying to get enough kids out for football. And you're looking at them, you're going like, you got 15 kids for basketball, and I got 150 for archery. Can you tell me why I'm practicing before and after school? Shouldn't basketball be coming in before school? It's a good question. I can tell you what the answer is already, though. So we say, Coach, here are your scorecards. Don't even look at the target numbers. He's got these kids lined up behind him like the Pied Piper. And he comes in, he goes, your target 1, your target 2, your target 3, follow me. And he lines them up, and he goes to the far left side of the fairgrounds. Boom. All the Pershing crowd is sitting behind on the left side because they're all behind their kids. So now you've got like parents with like kids. And then you go to Jarrett and you go, Coach, you start from that side. Contact tracing. That was always a big deal. So now that I've told you that your target number means nothing, how do we solve that problem? We tell them when it's time to turn in their scorecards, put your target number on the back. Now, when you tell me that you're target 27, then I know that the person beside you that shot at target 28 was your scoring partner. And if it comes back on contact tracing, I know who to get a hold of. We minimize touches. Kids, when you finish with your scorecard and you've double checked, you've scored correctly, you've signed it, whatever, can you put your scorecard in a box for me? Don't put it in my hands. You see that box? Put it in that box. Then we take the box to this wonderful, wonderful lady that scores them all. Runs them through the Scantron. You know, hand sanitizer before she touches them, hand sanitizer after she runs the entire flight. Then we keep that set of cards. What do we do on even and odd? Okay, so you're the only one on the target, and God love you, we didn't have target 28. We have a range official that will score for you. And that range official will sign that scorecard. So not only could we contact coaches, we could contact staff. We could come back and say, you were the range official and someone in the 9 a.m. flight. That's another one of Teresa's jobs. She would keep track of the volunteers because everyone was assigned certain numbered targets. They worked targets 1 through 5. They worked targets 6 through 10. They worked blah, blah, blah. We had someone, and you know, you kind of have to divide up your job. So we had someone that's like this great equipment. She would spin the arrows for us. Whenever an arrow hit a volleyball standard or the stanchions, whoosh, we'd pull them out. When Pershing shows up on 3 buses, we don't have 150 bows. And so we would have extra bows that they could check out. So if a child had to check out a bow, in the Springfield schools, we sold it to Teresa sold it to the Board of Education, and they bought the equipment. Kids participate for free. We have to host our own tournaments because it's $1. I mean, we can't afford to go. If we sent 900 kids to a tournament that charges $6 per kid, we're done. And it's one tournament. We're done. So we have to host our own. Last year, because of a COVID year, we could not have other schools. We usually have one school where we tell each school, Pershing, you can't send your 150 kids. Can you send me your team, a team? And then we can have some of the other schools. But right now we're in a numbers game, and we can't do it any other way. This is better than sliced bread. Am I correct? Oh my gosh. And they say whistle. Well, your mask, there's no whistle. What's this beauty? It's all about making work simple. It's a big paper clip. This is how you connect nets. You use zip tie, you have to cut it off. One-time use, one and done. Pry this thing. I bet I got some people that fish in here. Spin it, pinch it closed. It's the quickest way to close off your nets. You don't want that arrow shooting underneath anyway. And
that's somebody's job, by the way. When she hangs nets, somebody else is following.
coming in right behind them, tying them together.
We call that sewing, but
Yeah.
it works for us.
Have you ever put one of those safety nets back in the red bag? Yeah. It's like putting on jeans when you're wet, coming out of the shower. Well, this isn't coming up. We used to get, if you work in the schools, custodian and secretary, right? I mean, you can be friends with the principal, but custodian, get one of their trash barrels on wheels. You drop that thing in there, and you roll it on by. We have 48 targets, Teresa and I. No way we can lift those targets. So, a great guy at the fairgrounds. We go, oh, sir, you do us the world's best favor. Can you drive that trailer in and just drive real slow? Just go right down that net.
And they think we're old, so they lift them off for us.
So, you know, however you can work smarter and not harder, because virtual tournament. There's a dear lady here from the Springfield Public Schools, and she put on a virtual tournament at her school. We had all of the schools host a virtual tournament. She spent the night at her school setting up. Devoted. It's like, you are not an army of one. You need to get the we. You got to get people to help you. And I'm not opposed to virtual tournament. Nothing beats a tournament live. And got to be a state qualifier. Don't do anything else that doesn't work. I know those targets. They have the little wheels that slide in.
15.
Got it. Thank you. This could be the world's great. I mean, when I was a kid, man, I loved scooters. And when I was elementary teacher, oh my gosh, only got in trouble once because we did races up and down the hallway. But it's that hallway that had a little angle going down. God, it's fun. Put your target on top, target on top, target on top. Before the mountain gets too high, just throw something else on top. Roll it in and out. So anything helps. We have to do our own arrows because this is the weapon. Safe Schools Act. We don't have the kids transport arrows, their own arrows to a tournament. So we buy arrows, we set them up at the tournament. A high schooler comes in and goes, "Can I use my own?" "Well, yes, sir, you can." So,
Parent brings them,
fine.
coach can bring them, but kids can't.
We have to transport. We have tournaments starting, early in the morning. Our high schoolers, we always shoot our high schoolers at the end of the day because we don't want to take them out of classes because their classes, their grades, they count. You're an 8th grader and you have 1 F and 4 Ds, and next year, you're a 9th grader. So those kids, we transport. If we have 5 tournaments and you're the coach, your school, the first tournament you missed your morning class. But the second tournament, I'm going to probably mess up your lunch hour. And the third one, we're going to get you back just in time to get on the bus to go home. I mean, we try to rotate, but the high schoolers always are in the evening. We follow our state high school athletic code, even though NASP is not. It's just easier for the kids to go, you're the football player. You know that you have to make certain grades, and you know that you have to have citizenship, and you have to have attendance requirements to participate. You have to have a parent permission form. Got it, right? Cool. You also want to be an archer. We just hold them to the same standard. There's no state high school tournament. Missions. Your middle schools, do you have sixth grade sports from different states? I know that in the state of Missouri, sixth graders cannot participate in the team sports. They're left out. Our seventh and eighth graders, ladies, where are you from? They're all on the same football team?
We don't have football. Ours are.
What state?
Louisiana.
Tell me I'm saying this right.
I'm listening.
Well, okay, our sixth graders,
Our sixth graders cannot participate. We do not have.
yes.
It was like that when I was in South Carolina, but I'm in Louisiana. But here's the catch part. The sixth graders aren't at our school, but they can participate in our sports.
Okay. So you have like junior highs.
Yes.
They call it junior high, something. So when we have NASP in the schools, we offer it to our sixth graders. We're the first ones to grab that kid in sports. You come in as a sixth grader and you're going like, this could be the best ever. I'm not in elementary school anymore. But you can't play basketball, you can't be on the cross country team, you can't play soccer, you can't do this, you can't do this. What can you do? Archery. Man, we got them hooked, and we got them hooked good. I want to double check, and I want to make sure I've got plenty of time to. 10. I got 10 minutes. I'm going to go real fast. I want to, on the PowerPoint, to go, now really put in a little quote that means something. My dad used to say, the only person that you have to prove yourself to is the person that watches you brush your teeth every night. And he had this quote up, in helping others, you help yourself the most. Teresa and I are getting to that age where we're going like, well, let's see, now what am I going to do in my last some odd years here? Self-confidence, feel that you've done more things right in this world than wrong. The fact that you feel like you have helped more people than you've stepped on. Teachers are in the business to help others. And every act of kindness will come back to you when you need it the most.